This is the current state of the Swedish school. I was thinking I would just make a quick summary. This is, of course, before differentiation. I've heard from a lot of talks here that it's the same in a lot of other countries as well. But the question on this is the differentiation, is that the panacea here? Is that the solution for everything? And well, I want to make the argument that no, it isn't, and we need something more. And this is my topic for today, and a challenge to and for the differentiation paradigm. And a little disclaimer here: when I wrote my abstract on this, I kind of imagined, well, maybe if I get an hour and write a paper on this as well. But well, now we have the 15-minute format, so it will be a bit shortened. And well, let's make it fun and let's research more call to action. Well, this is me, or it's not my school, I think, but my background, besides being a psychology student, master's student in psychology, is the brainchild, a Swedish initiative for educating educators on giftedness and gifted education, and it's the RFSB, the Swedish Association for the Gifted. We can talk about those later. But in 2016 already, the Swedish School Inspectorate was alerting that, let's see here, in some schools, 2/3 of the students say they aren't challenged enough, with a third as an average, a national average. And looking at the teachers, same there, 2/3 think it's important that the students that they wait for each other and they go forward together in their education and their learning, and 1/3 national average. And these thirds down here, it's interesting because, well, we have a third that thinks the school is too difficult, or sorry, here, too difficult, too little challenges, and, well, the school is quite okay, 1/3 in the middle. So in Sweden we always say we have like one school for everyone, and I jokingly say that, well, we have one school for everyone in the third in the middle. So that's a bit problematic. So here the problem is much bigger than just, well, 2% or what you call the gifted. It's so many more than the gifted. This part I actually kept, even though I cut it a bit short. Since I have an old master's in business and economics, I have some economic theory as well from, well, the Hotellinger's model, an old model that says, like, if you have a really long beach and someone already is selling ice cream, where should you be selling ice cream? And most people think, well, really far away. But as we all know, when there's one gas station, there's another gas station, and where there's one shoe store, there's another shoe store. And same here, you put them in the middle here, because even no matter if it's well, if you catch the middle of the normal distribution curve, then you catch the big part in the middle, or if you have a more uniform distribution and people walking in from everywhere, of course, they walk until they find someone who sells ice cream, and then they buy from that block. So, well, this seems, of course, very intelligent if you are selling ice cream and you know the strategy of your competition and you want to optimize your own performance. If you want to sound smart, you can say that this is a Nash equilibrium. You know, this guy in the Beautiful Mind and Nobel Prize winner, and it's basically doesn't mean anything else than that if you have a given situation, you know the strategies of your competition, then if you have this state, then you have already optimized it. You have reached an equilibrium. You can't reach or pick it any better for yourself. This is the best game strategy for this. But of course, if you have a school, or in this case lifeguard towers, well, if you want to save lives on this beach, maybe the smart thing is not to put the two lifeguard towers together, because if you have someone, well, down here, maybe here is a wheelchair ramp and the people who have different disabilities, and they go in swimming, maybe not big waves, but well, you want to save them. And in this direction, of course, we might have some others. Maybe here are the surfers. This is look like a typical surfer to me. Bigger waves, they do the more extreme diving, swimming. They might be needing saving as well. But let's go here to the what I call the differentiation paradigm, and this is kind of my interpretation of a bit of the state in the mindset in Sweden, even among researchers in gifted studies. That is that you have a status quo myopia. You are stuck in the current practice and, well, what rules there are already now, how you do things now, and you always start from that instead of looking what could you do, what should you do, having a wider scope. Even with advocacy for mixed classroom differentiation and advocacy for gifted children, it's often left out that this differentiation is not enough for everyone. I understand it very often that it's a difficult sell already to sell the differentiation, but when you maybe half sell it, then those you have sold it to might think that, well, then it's not, then the problem is with this kid who it doesn't work, still doesn't work for. And that is, of course, problematic. And also, I mean, who is going to do this, this differentiation? In Swedish school systems, you have usually the teacher's licenses that are from class 1 to 3, then 4 to 6, and so on. And if it is someone in class 5 or 6, and they are already several years above in their level, like, I mean, they're not licensed for that kind of teaching. And also there might also be a qualitative difference in how they need to be taught, and they might have really advanced questions. So of course there's a cognitive aspect also when it comes to the teachers here. Like, everyone is not suited for doing this education. Someone who has studied gifted studies for years, it's easy to say that, well, this is a solution for everything, but it's a whole different thing that's like to put it into practice with the real teachers we have out there. And the teachers are already spread thin. We've heard that in a lot of lectures already, that they have so many other needs to take care of, and the gifted are prioritized really far down the line. There might also be a fear of a blame game. If we put too much real responsibility on someone, they can also be blamed, so it's easier just to let things be, and, well, the misfits, the gifted students, are then implicitly blamed, or feel like they are, or that it might be their fault. And the occupational culture among teachers, with this third nationally, you think it's important that everyone goes forward together in their learning. There are a lot of teachers who even don't believe in a normal distribution of intelligence, and law of jump that you might have heard of. Don't think you are more than anyone else in the Nordic countries especially. And even though there's not one single hour of education within gifted education in this, for Swedish teachers, they might still have a big pride in or a sense of authority in their role, and a parent who actually know more, then it's a real threat to them. And sometimes it's like, well, they want to lead. It's like if you ask for road directions in Japan, it's said that they often just, even if they don't know, well, in that case it's them trying to be polite, but they might give you road directions even if they don't know the direction to where you're going, just to not stand without giving you any help. And in the Swedish school system as well, we have self-evaluation. Now the Swedish School Inspectorate no longer inspects, or if you inform them of some kid with a situation where they're breaking the national school laws of Sweden, well, they don't look into that anymore. That's the Swedish municipalities that in practice has to do that now. And well, it's their schools and their principals, and they're usually very reluctant to do anything about it, because it would criticize themselves, and especially principals and teachers themselves are in many ways set to evaluate themselves. Maybe you recognize this quote from a movie or movie trailer. And even the Swedish National Agency for Education, Skolverket, they have, well, I've made a video of this that I might publish in the future, but there are a lot of documents on their homepage where they really twist what the research or what the scientific community on education is saying, with, for instance, well, grouping, or ability grouping, and that's of course really problematic when they're not really telling the truth, but instead are speaking from an ideological perspective. So back to these lifeguard towers. Wouldn't it be, of course, if you have these, you can actually do the differentiation game here. And if you, for instance, have binoculars, you have these cool four-wheel buggies, or what they're called, you can like patrol around and you can see a bit further, but there are still limits. You can reach further out on both ends, but it's, for every extra meter, it's much more difficult to reach more. So those people who are on the far ends, they might never get any saving when they're needed. So, I mean, this is maybe a bit wiser. You have this here, or if you don't want to just sell as much, but do the best utility for the community, then and you have two towers, a third in from each direction. That would be optimal if you have a uniform distribution. But in this case, these might be more rare, but you have someone reaching from this side and inwards, and you have someone here reaching as far as they can with binoculars and four-wheelers from in here. And then you might really reach all the way here. But at least in Sweden, this for when the differentiation is not enough. We have nothing here. And what do we need? Well, we need something here as well. Why not the Hof? So, this is the basic problem with differentiation for a lot of kids, that, well, you're trying too hard to be everything. Does anyone actually like eating with this monstrosity? It's terrible. You like kind of want to eat the soup and you cut up your mouth, and it's like, no. This is, well, seems like a good idea, but maybe not really. Or maybe it works for in some instances, but you need something more. If you really want to eat that, I don't know, goulash soup or whatever you're eating, well, maybe you're just the kind of person who just needs a spoon. So just get a spoon. And this is an example that I usually make here. Like if you have 10 factories, you want to have 10 factories, and then you want to manufacture both railroad tracks and hypodermic syringes. Would you make 10 factories who make everything? Probably not. It might be more wise to have like this factory and this factory. Maybe 9 making railway tracks, and well, then you can have 1 making hypodermic syringes. And then you can, with the same resources, you can do so much more. And this is not differentiation, this is specialization. And I would make the argument that you need both. But you have a growing awareness. This is a Swedish Minister of Education, and well, she was recently talking about the inclusion debacle. So, well, things are moving in Sweden too, hopefully, but it takes a long time. But what are they missing out on? Well, here we have the old grit resilience growth mindset, sisu in Finnish, learning how to learn, all these kind of related, and we have some favorite quotes here. This is often what they're missing out on. And also, I mean, well, they can learn later, but we have a fantastic window of heightened neural plasticity in the early years. Like you can't learn language as effectively without, well, having some dialect or what's it called, any more than in the early years. Also, if you want to learn perfect pitch, that's also so much more effective to learn in the early years. And it's, well, you're basically wasting that by making them adapt to the learning of everyone else. Well, they're learning what they should, but not what they could and, well, need, maybe. And it has effects on the whole family. We saw that in the last lecture as well here. And of course, meaningfulness and sense of belonging, mental health. And well, this is a Swedish expression, kunna spegla sig i andra, to be able to like reflect yourself in others, see yourself in others, and well, this kind of, it's this sense of belonging, and you don't really get that if you just think you're a UFO. So this also speaks that, well, differentiation is one thing, but you have to meet the social needs as well. And the social needs might be that to feel that it's nothing wrong with you. It's just you need to find your peers, and then you might have much easier with meeting everyone else, because then you can place them into a bigger context when they are okay and you're okay, and well, you're just different. So, possible ways forward, to round it up here, when the challenge is too great for differentiation in the mixed classroom. Because, I mean, differentiation in the mixed classroom, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You really should be doing that as much as you can, just as you should be having the binoculars and maybe four-wheelers on this middle lifeguard tower. But when it's not enough, you need something else too. And with the advocacy for gifted children, we should not be limited to the differentiation paradigm, because we think that's the only thing we can sell, and then we kind of sacrifice the others who it's not enough for. And with the Swedish school system as well, there's now it's only possibilities, but it should be real rights. Something should happen if the rights are not given to the children. Differentiation, well, here's a different kind of differentiation here. Differentiations of groups, of schools, of teachers. Maybe not everyone has to be an expert of teaching everyone. Some can be an expert of teaching the ones who have learning difficulties, and some can be an expert of teaching the gifted. Well, this different kind of differentiation is called specialization. Also, enrichment. My experience, and when talking to others in our National Association for Gifted Children in Sweden, is that enrichment is often used as an alibi for really not doing that much, actually. So, of course, well, enrichment, when really is enrichment, it's not a bad thing, but I really think you should be focusing on acceleration, because no matter how you do it, if you do enrichment, then they might want to learn, they might get interested, but when they do, then they will accelerate, then they will need to accelerate. And for those in the rural areas where you might not meet the peers live or have this day a week school or extracurricular activities for the gifted, well, maybe remote solutions also where you don't have enough teachers to for all the gifted children. There's maybe one within, well, miles. And maybe for the future as well, AI-assisted adaptive learning with built-in the diagnostics and spaced interval learning. Well, that's a whole another lecture, but it might be that we have tools that help with, well, more extreme differentiation, more effective differentiation than today, but that the teachers can more help the students in using and getting the most out of this. Well, basically that's the lecture, so thank you. I think I almost have the we can take some questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's quite thought-provoking. A lot of what you said I absolutely agree with. In the Swedish context, how is the term differentiation defined? I mean, what do you mean by that term?
Well, I would say that differentiation, of course, it's so wide. Of course, you would have a differentiation within a gifted program or gifted school, and I mean, you can even say that having a gifted school is a kind of differentiation. But here, even if I use the word differentiation in this case, I kind of implicitly refer to the differentiation within the mixed classroom.
Yeah, please. I missed the quote from the Prime Minister because can I just read? Thank you very much.
Yeah. So it's kind of a summary. For those who read Swedish or read Google Translate, it's bilagare that you can search for. So if you take a photo, and you can just search for that topic there. Or, Any more questions?
No, I just have a thought about this. It will be really interesting to see what she means.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to rethink, but what's coming?
Yeah.
What's the next step? I mean,
here is a quote from her as well.
Coming from Finland, where we have all the same problems as you, very familiar, but still, I mean, where are we heading?
Yeah, we're having this quote from her here as well, that the teachers are witnessing that we once again have a totally non-sustainable situation. So, well, they have all these needs that they need to solve in the same classroom. And of course, from politicians and those who have the municipality budgets, since the school in Sweden is, well, community, well, it's on the different municipalities, unless it's a free school company, that's the school. But of course they want to believe that, well, we can solve everything through differentiation within the mixed classroom. But, well, even the Minister of Education and, well, the teachers are saying, well, there might be some limits and we might have gone past those limits a long time ago.
I teach a lot of children that accelerate, especially in math, more or less only in math, I would say, fairly. And what I experience with them is that they kind of know a lot of algorithms for older years, but they really don't have gone behind the math in a way.
Yeah.
So I can agree with you that we should not hold them back, but I feel that even when we let them accelerate, we have the same problem all the way, that we kind of just teach them algorithm after algorithm, and the way of rich thinking around is somehow lost. And it is lost also with those who don't accelerate. So I mean, it's lost all over.
Why don't we just teach them the algorithms? Isn't that because we don't have enough time to spend on that student and that area of math? Because often, because of lack of resources, I would say that a lot of children are just given the next year's book, and they kind of calculate themselves, and then they show you something if you have a problem, and then you make a solution for them, and and then they just keep doing the algorithms, but they are, well, unless they're doing it instinctively, they often, well, just are plowing through book after book.
Yes, but what I try to say is that I kind of miss the enrichment. I teach at the science centers. I don't actually teach them in the math and kind of follow them up that way. We have different processes. And projects we do for a couple of days, and then they are back in school. But I just recognize the problem when I meet them. So the acceleration is okay as long as they kind of get the broaden out what the approach to, for instance, math. And as long as they have done that, they can just keep on going further in a broad way. But the acceleration that is normally done, the way they do it, I don't think it actually does what we want.
Both can be a quick fix. I mean, or an easy quick fix, both the enrichment and the acceleration. If you do it as a quick fix, well, then you lose the other. I think both accelerations should be done with enrichment, and enrichment should be done with acceleration. So we basically agree. I don't know who was first.
I guess you're right. It's enrichment and acceleration, but it's very difficult to accept in 2025 that we as people sometimes don't get that some youngsters, some kids learn faster than others. We agree all that some people have a larger size of shoes or whatever. We totally agree about that.
I know what you're thinking.
We for one reason or another, we can't believe that some kids learn faster than other kids, and you can't expect that these kids stay with the other kids for 18, 21 years at the same pace. That's
it's absurd. But a lot of people want to believe and do believe what's, well, most practical for them to believe. It relieves them of responsibility. It relieves them of being a bad teacher for the students.
It's not about good, it's not about bad, it's something obvious, I guess.
Yes, but due to lack of knowledge, which is, at least in my country is enormous, the lack of knowledge, it's very tempting when you find one of these kids who actually learn very fast or very quickly. It's so tempting to just feel the cognitive side of it, because that's the only thing. Okay, I can see this as a teacher, and this kid needs more, so I just give them more and more and more, and I totally forget that this child is a whole child that needs emotional support, social support, has to, have a sense of belonging somewhere. It's not only about the learning things, but I totally agree with you. It's so difficult to understand that somebody's learning faster than the others, and it's not slowing down, because some of our teachers think that, well, okay, you read when you start school, but when in grade 3 the others will come to the same level.
We had this first picture. Well, they do come to the same level, but I mean, when they come to the same level and produce the same number of apples, what's the mental state of this apple tree?
Exactly.
But they're the same. You have succeeded with both of them, or have you?
It's really frustrating, as a teacher and as a mother, as a teacher.
As a human being.
You know about the in athletics, we have one round is 400 meters.
Yeah.
What we ask from these kids, we have the 800 meters, and every year we ask them to run the whole round. We say, now, whoa, wait for the others,
Yes.
and start the other one.
Yes.
That's what we
Yes.
every year and year again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that
And then
we
we
say,
wonder why
okay,
they're
now we're together, and hop.
Or if you have if you have pole vaulting in a gymnastics hall that's like 3 meters high to the ceiling, well, it might work perfectly for a lot of students, but those students who are really gifted in pole vaulting, they will be like red blobs on the ceiling.
And then we wonder why they are bored.
Yeah.
And why they don't feel well mentally.
But the problem with the Swedish school system, that's, well, in business and economics, we usually say what gets measured gets done, and this is what's measured, that you reach the minimum. And, well, if you do this, you're a good teacher. You have done your job. Then start working with those who, well, are here. They might need something else. Them too. Maybe they are not reached by neither the left lifeguard tower or the middle tower. Here in between are quite some problems as well, which have been a bit more spoken about in the Swedish educational community lately. That's, yeah. Number of questions or yeah?
No, it's just one comment, but we have, the school I work at, we have a football academy.
Yeah.
And they try into the football academy and only the best players can play in the academy.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly all right. We also have 2 classes divided into 3 groups for science. And last year in every group there was a couple of students who were struggling to understand and a couple of students who were totally bored. So I said, why don't we, rather than having random groups, have one group with the high achievers and a smaller group with those who need more support. We can't do that.
It's not fair.
It's not fair,
It's
but,
not fair, yeah.
but we have actually, we did.
It's not fair that Zlatan is a better football player than I am. It's not really not fair.
But
he
it
is.
took a lot of convention, but we've done it now, so
Yeah.
we have differentiated, not officially,
Yeah.
but unofficially science
Well,
groups, and it's worked so much
That's
better.
usually the state.
Because then you've got the one group where we can keep a high pace, and I can say read the book, and the kids read the book. And then we've got the other group where you can't say read the book because they won't, and then we can keep a low pace.
I mean, it's often done like that in Sweden, like what is it called, skunk work or guerrilla work, kind of, where they are told by the Swedish school authorities that, well, this is a bad thing for everyone to have ability grouping. And, well, teachers feel like this can't be, and a lot of teachers think that, well, it might even organizationally and resource-wise be a better idea to have a bit of, well, ability grouping. And they try it, and it of course does work better, but they're like really, well.
I think we have to stop now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can catch me in
Thank
the...
you.